Hey there! In this video, I'm going to show you an automated system that will help you as a boutique law firm owner or office manager to stop having to manually manage capacity for your firm. Will prevent double bookings and will also allow you to automatically send the assigned lawyer's details to your clients straight after their booking. Let's jump straight in and see how it works. So first of all, we have Google Sheets, could be also an Excel, could also be the case management system that you are using. In here, we define the list of all the different staff members, or lawyers that we have, with their emails, names, and the maximum events that they're allowed per day in terms of bookings. Now, this is obviously a quite simple system where it has a fixed number of events defined on each particular day. This system could be expanded to also accommodate for scenarios where there are different event types, for example, different practice areas, or for example, where you want different number of events on different days of the week. This system comes in very handy if, for example, you have people working part-time, or for example, you have a new starter that you want to slowly ramp up on the number of cases they're doing per day to make sure they don't make any errors. Now, so here we have, for example, myself defined on the 3 events maximum per day. If we go now to the calendar, we'll be able to see that on the 24th, I already have 2 initial consults booked in. So as soon as somebody books in a third one, the system then should automatically block my calendar, prevent any more bookings on that particular day for myself, but still allow them for other members of the team. Here on Calendly, scheduling solution, let's create a new event. So let's just put some test data, schedule event. This event will automatically be added to my calendar, as you can see, just a few seconds later, the automation has run. It has identified that the maximum number of events per day has been reached, and it has created a blocker event over here. Now, if we go back then to the scheduling solution, you'll see that on the 24th, there are no more events available. Now, obviously, if there will be more team members and they would also have their availability, in this case, until their capacity is reached, it would also allow bookings until then. Let's now jump in and understand how this system works on the back end, and so you can set up something similar for your firm. Here's the general outline of the process. So first of all, we will obviously have a lead or client that would want to book a new consult or a new meeting, and they would land on the scheduling page, for example, in Calendly, and this would be a team round-robin event, and I'll dive into all the details of how each step is defined in just a minute. As soon as a new event is booked, an automation will receive a notification from Calendly, and for the purposes of this demo, we're using make.com, which is a platform similar to automation platform similar to Zapier, but it's more flexible and it's actually cheaper to run, so we usually prefer it with our clients. The automation will then look up the maximum number of events allowed for that lawyer, daily, weekly, on a particular day of the week, etc. It will then also look up all the events that have been already booked for that particular day. And then if the maximum number of events has been reached, it will automatically create a blocker event on the lawyer's calendar, which will mark it as busy and will prevent any more bookings on that particular calendar for that particular lawyer for that particular day in Calendly. An automatic email will be sent to the client already telling them their assigned lawyer's details and a calendar invitation, and no more events would be able to be booked for that particular lawyer for that particular day. Now, let's go step by step and here see how this is set up. So first of all, we have Calendly, and in Calendly, I have defined it demo team, which consists at the moment of 2 members. Obviously, can be as many as you want. I have defined a round-robin event, which will mean essentially that the bookings will be done sequentially, either maximizing for equal distribution or maximizing for availability. How is this defined? We have multiple hosts defined over here. For the purpose of this demo, I just left one, so it's more simple. You can obviously define the scheduling settings, booking page options, etc. In the communication section, you then get a calendar invitation, which goes immediately after booking. You can also define an email follow-up going out again straight after the booking, a few hours before the booking, etc., informing the client about the meeting, the date and time, and also their assigned lawyer's details. So that's the setup in Calendly. After that, you have already seen the Google Sheets, how that is defined. And finally, we have the automation. So the automation has 4 steps. First of all, we have this watch events module from Calendly, which looks for any new bookings created on the account, irrespective of which user it has been. When you define a new what is called a webhook, a new trigger, in here you'll be able to select the NVT created, so that's only for new bookings. And finally, choose your organization, and this user URI field you would leave empty to make sure that this triggers for all the users, not just one particular one. After that, after a new booking has been created, the system will look up the maximum events defined for that member. And so again, for the purposes of this demo, we are using a Google Sheet. We are using a filter, which will essentially filter all the rows for this member email being equal to the user email with which the event has been scheduled. So when the information is coming from Calendly, we have information about, obviously, the client details, the date and time of the booking, and also in here in the scheduled event collection, we have this event memberships array and the user email with which like lawyer's email with which they have been booked in. So we are looking up the maximum events defined for that particular lawyer. We are saying, okay, maximum number of returned rows should be 1 to just get 1 result. So the output of this module will look like this: member email, name, and then finally the maximum events defined per day. After that, we look up all the events that have already been booked in that particular person's calendar on that particular date. We do it with a search events module with Google Calendar. For the calendar ID, we are using the email of the user. And what's important here is when you do this, if you want to do it for, obviously, for multiple users, for multiple people in your firm, you would need to share their calendars from their account to yours, to the one that you're going to connect to make.com. And so it's important that when you do that, for example, imagine I want to share this calendar, that you choose in permission, make changes and manage sharing. This will just allow the automation to properly look up all the events with all their details, and also to be able to create that blocker event once the maximum limit has been reached. So we are defining the calendar ID as the user email. The start date will be the scheduled event start time, and we are setting the hour, minute, and second to 0, so essentially the start of the day, looking at the whole day. And the end date will be the same plus 1, right? So it's the start of the date plus 1, so it's the end, the start of the next day, essentially. And then finally, in the query, we are putting whatever the naming convention in your firm is. So in this case, for example, we are calling this event's initial consult. As you can see here, initial consult. And so it will look up all the events that contain that text. And finally, for limits, you can put it at 100. The output of this module will be several bundles, as you can see, bundle 1, bundle 2, bundle 3, each one for different events. So in this case, as you can see, there are 3 of them for the 3 events that are here in the calendar. And the only thing then at that point left is just to check that the maximum events has been reached or not, and if it has been reached, create the blocker event, right? So we're doing this using a filter. We are looking up that the total number of bundles returned by the search event model is greater than or equal to the maximum events per day defined in the Google Sheet. And then finally, we also add in a secondary filter, which is bundle order position equal 1. This is just needed because the search events module actually returns multiple bundles, and so if we don't do this, it will actually execute the next step multiple times, the number of times that, however many events there have been in the calendar. So we don't want that, so just put bundle order position equal 1. And finally, we create the blocker event. Let's look at the setup. Again, the calendar ID is just the user email. The event name is blocker. Start date is, again, the same as in the previous module, so start of day and then the end of day. And finally, we're also marking it as an all-day event, as you can see here. And also just make sure that you set the show me as busy. That will ensure that no more events are being booked, and Calendly actually sees that as a blocker. Just to recap, again, the process is quite simple. Client books a Calendly, automation receives the notification from Calendly, it looks up the maximum number of events allowed, looks up the calendar to see how many events have been booked for that particular day for that particular lawyer, and then if the maximum number of events has been reached, creates a blocker, which means that for that particular person, no more events will be booked using that booking link. Now, a few improvements that can still be made to the system, and where you can go from here is you can define capacity for each day of the week. You can define the capacity for different event types, or for example, practice areas. You can also automatically remove the blocker if an event is cancelled using a separate automation. You can also obviously be syncing bookings to your case management system and triggering emails or any other actions that you want in your case management system upon the booking. Now, if you want to get started with that automation already in Make, just comment Blueprint under this post and I'll send you the templates so that you can get it up and running on your own system. Thank you for watching.